It was in '45. I can't remember the dates. It was in May, though, because it was a few days after that I think the war ended. It was on the outskirts of a town. We were going to stay, or we did stay, in these German army barracks there. We just happened on it. Oh, I think it had the barbed wire and stuff like that, but it didn't seem like it was real high. We just drove in. We didn't know what it was that we went into. Well, I had never heard the word concentration camp mentioned. I hadn't seen anything in my life like this book on the wall. I'd seen hundreds of soldiers that had died in battle, but these people had been starved to death. I could have picked up a grown man in each hand and walked with them. They wouldn't weigh 50, 60 pounds apiece. And some of the people were laying on the ground, and you didn't know whether they were alive or not. You'd stop and just kneel down and see whether they were breathing or not. The American Army tried to feed those people, but their stomachs had shrunk to where they couldn't eat. So they had to just start them over like babies, I guess. I just can't imagine all these people stacked up there. And here was hundreds of people just been starved to death. This one man, he must not have been there too long before we got there, because he was still able to walk around, you know, pretty good health. He took us into a building, and it would remind you of say a horse arena. It had a dirt floor, and he said that this is where they kill people at night. He said they had them kneel down, and they come and walk behind them with a pistol and shot him in the back of the head. I was standing beside of a man that day at these bodies, and he said, "I don't believe there's a God in heaven." This picture is inside of the barracks where they lived. You see some of the people here, and then some of them are still laying. They had, I believe it was 2 tiers of them. And they're what you would call today is like a potato bin. It was like maybe 4 by 8 or 6 by 8 with planks in it. And they had, I think, a blanket. And there was a little partition like maybe like this between them. And they just rows and rows. And that's where they slept. Well, I'm sure it was cold in there. But if you're starving somebody, you don't care if they're cold. There wasn't any Germans there. They'd all run off. There were 2 SS soldiers laying there. And they had been beat and hung by the strongest of the prisoners. How they could turn into this, they had to have ordinary people in the Army, just like we had in our Army. But how they got those people to believing that they was doing something great for Hitler, for Germany, by killing all the Jewish people. That's what scares me. And those people, their only crime, they were born Jewish. And as I've gotten older, maybe other people have never thought about this, and I couldn't specifically name the advances that has been made in medicine by Jewish doctors and Jewish scientists. And I've often wondered, like since I've gotten older, maybe the cure for cancer was laying there. We went from there on to the Elbe River, and we stopped at the Elbe River so that the Russians could go on to Berlin. The first American troops went in on July the 4th, which was the 2nd Armored Division. And we went in the next day on the 5th into Berlin. Never seen such a tore up city in my life. I didn't think I'd ever live to see the day that they could build it back. I left Berlin in October, latter part of October, but I was discharged in November. Took 13 days coming back. When my generation is gone, there won't be more eyewitnesses to this. So I just, I felt like I had to do this Since that day, I couldn't do nothing for those people. At least I can do this much, you know. Maybe it might do some good. I'd feel like a coward if I hadn't come over here and done this. Although it's not pleasant.